Hello, yes, and welcome to another episode of MLS Ireland. Will I be bringing to you my predictions for this week's semi-finals? Stay tuned. Thank you very much for joining me. If you're new to this, hit that subscribe button. I'm doing quite well at the moment, so 1, 2, 2. I think it was a 1, 2, 3, so one of these left. Anyway, it is the semi-finals. It is going to be on during a Wednesday and a Thursday night, which is not really going to be great for me as it's going to be on late at night, and I've got work in the morning, which is pretty hard to get up in the morning for an old man like me, so it's going to be one of those things. But anyway, it's going to be two games. Obviously it's the semi-final. Philadelphia against Portland and Orlando against Minnesota. I know, who would have thought Orlando, Minnesota in a semi-final, but it has happened. Even to talk about the games, Orlando against LAFC wasn't really a great game. A lot of stoppages, a lot of fouls from both teams. Kind of really, the game didn't really get going, and it probably kind of suited Orlando at the end of it all. LAFC got the early lead. Orlando was first, then got a penalty, missed that, and then LAFC went up the other end and scored, and then Orlando scored. An ex LAFC player scored, Jono Montino or something, I think his name is, I probably pronounced it wrong, scored probably in the 87th minute, and then went into penalties, and Nani scored a resulting penalty to win the whole bloody thing, and Orlando now are where they are. So, and then Philadelphia played, who did they play? I can't bloody remember. Sporting Kansas City, and they basically wiped the floor with Sporting Kansas City. Sporting Kansas City really didn't have much really to say about that game, which is a pity. Philadelphia probably do look now the favourites to really win the thing, even though now they're playing up against the Portland Timbers team, who can possibly upset anybody when they really want to. So Portland Timbers game I didn't really see because it was on late at night and I had work the next morning, but they beat a New York City team who wasn't really playing all that great, even though they won the last game, which confused the hell out of everybody. And then obviously Minnesota, who are playing pretty good at the moment. They look pretty good when they beat Columbus Crew. They drew 1-1 and won on penalties, which is pretty impressive against a team who hasn't let in any goals the whole competition. So fair play to Minnesota on that one. So it's going to make an interesting definitely going to make an interesting semi-final. So I may as well start off with the first game. So that is Philadelphia against Portland Timbers. Philadelphia are the bookies' favourites coming into this thing. You can see why, because they do look like a very good, strong team at the moment. Coming up against the Portland Timbers team, who on their day can beat anybody. They've been showing that in 2 seasons ago when they made it to the MLS Cup final. They can summons up someone to get to a final, which is pretty hard these days against a team who can I say are not that experienced on getting this far into competitions. So this game is going to be a tricky one to predict. Philadelphia probably have the better players, where Portland Timbers probably have the better mind for the whole thing. They know what to do when they get into the situations. So it is a tricky one. Philadelphia are the favourites, are my kind of favourites to win the thing. But again, this is MLS and anything can bloody happen. So anyway, my prediction would be Philadelphia probably to win this one 2-0. I don't think Portland Timbers really have all that really to get across against a very good Philadelphia team. So that's my predictions for that one. Next one is Orlando against Minnesota. Orlando is the team I didn't expect to really get this far against Minnesota, who I knew were a good team, but I didn't think they would get this far. So again, this one's going to be pretty interesting. If Orlando's going to play the same way that they did against the LAFC, this is going to be a tricky one for Minnesota. Minnesota do like to sit back and kind of counter attack, which is I think this is going to be in favour of them. Again, Orlando could be one of those teams that try to slow down the opposition, just basically to do wee stupid niggly fouls and stuff like that. So but again, are they going to let Minnesota have the ball? It would be a good tactic for them, because Minnesota don't really look like a team who can you know what I mean, play Barcelona style tiki-taka crap. Saying that, Orlando at home in their kind of tournament, as you were, against Minnesota. I do like Minnesota at this moment, but Orlando look like they can win. They can beat anybody, and every time they have played, I've constantly said that they're not going to win, and I'm probably not going to change that. I do think it's probably going to go to no, I don't think it's going to go to extra time, because there's no extra time. I think Minnesota are probably going to win this game 2-1. I think Orlando's probably going to let the first goal in, and then get a Orlando. Then it's going to be Minnesota to pull one back. No, Minnesota's going to score first, Orlando's going to score second, and then Orlando's going to really go at them, and Minnesota's going to hit them on the break and near the end. So yes, that is my predictions. Again, if it all comes true, I'll try to do a final for the final. So hope to God to see you then, and thank you very much for joining me, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye.